I'll speak about the second part of your question first. I met Mr. Verbeek during the '94 World Cup. In 1994, as you know, the World Cup was held in the United States, so he came to watch some games. And I had already done some work in Netherlands, so I knew some of his colleagues. So when he came to the United States, I was introduced to him, and we went to some games in Los Angeles at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. So through that we met, and then I started traveling to Netherlands and spending time with him. After the '98 World Cup, he was in Japan coaching, and I worked with the U.S. national team. So I went to Japan during one of his training camps. We spent more time together. So our relationship grew from 1994 all the way to 2001. When he became the assistant coach of Korea in 2001 with Mr. Hitting, he told Mr. Hitting about my work and what I could add to the national team. And at that time I was doing some pioneering work. I was using technology in coaching and technology in improving a team's performance and improving the results. And Mr. Hitting felt that because of the language barrier, because of the tactical problems in football in Korea and the lack of experience in international football for Korean players, that he could really use someone like myself to support him. And at that time I was maybe one of only 2 people in the whole world that was so experienced in using technology in coaching. So that's how I came to Hong Kong at the Carlsberg tournament, and Korea was in that tournament, and I spent a week with Mr. Hitting. And I think immediately Mr. Hitting and myself hit it off on both professional and personal level. And he liked me and immediately said, "I'd like you to help my team for the 2002 World Cup." So that's how I was introduced to Mr. Hitting and the Korean national team. What was my impression of Korea? I think immediately I was very, very impressed with the players. You have to understand that the Korean players are very different than American players and European players. Their quality is that they're willing to do a job for a coach. They want to learn. They fight like hell for you. And I was very impressed with that you can actually have players that will follow your instruction and not ask so many questions and just do a job. Because normally a Western player, the moment you explain something, most of the times they have questions, well, why? You have to explain more, and you have to show them that this is maybe a better way. But a Korean player, the moment you explain something, they just get it done. I'm not sure which is better, but I think one of the qualities of the Korean players was the fact that they will fight for you as a coach. And that's important. Korean people are very similar to Iranian people. I was born in Iran and I lived the first 13 years of my life in Iran. So we have a similar Asian spirituality and heart. So I connected with Korean people immediately and I really love them. Of course, the Korean food I like. So football was right. The players want to play for you. The people are wonderful, and the food is fantastic. So what else do I want? When I was playing at UCLA, I was a football player at UCLA, and I was getting my education. I was literally since 14 years old, when I was in America, I started coaching in the summertime and the holidays in all the youth camps. So that's how I got my start as a football coach. So I started making my college tuition, saving for my university through coaching children. When I was 19 years old playing for UCLA, I was offered to be the head coach of the women's team at UCLA. And I agreed because one, I was very interested in coaching, and two, I could use the money to pay for my university. So I started playing and coaching at UCLA at the same time. I was very fascinated by how coachable women were and how willing they were to learn. Much different than men. I think they're much more willing to listen to the coach and do a job for the coach and play for each other. I think the egos are a little bit less, so part of their willingness to be part of a team and part of a community really makes them very enjoyable as a football coach to teach and coach them. They're also very loyal to their coach and loyal to each other, and that also made it easier. So my experience, I coached over 4 years at UCLA and won 100 games out of 114. Was very positive, and I really enjoyed it. So I look back at those times as very memorable and very enjoyable. The other thing I also realize is you have to play a different role as a coach with women players. It's almost like you have with men you have to be Rambo, and with women you can be Gandhi. So you have to explain things, be very verbal in your communication. With men sometimes you just have to show, and you have to be tough. With women you have to be more intellectual. So those were some of the differences. I think because they come from Netherlands, all three, and their education of football came from Holland and Netherlands, they share that background. And Dutch football in general is, when it comes to attacking football, when it comes to organization in attack, is the best in the world, especially in youth education and development. My feeling is all three of them have different characters and personalities also. Mr. Hiddink is a kind of a coach that in his career has always had sometimes the best players. You know, he's coached teams like Eindhoven and Real Madrid and the Dutch national team, so he was always given some of the best players in the world. So he became more of a manager coach, more of the type of person that creates the atmosphere and ambiance and brings the best out of his team and maybe selects the best players for the given moment and has success. And because he was a winner, wherever he's gone, he's had success because he demanded that from his players. Mr. Advocate also, in my opinion, has had great success wherever he's gone. He has a lot of charisma and a lot of personality, and he's a fighter. And one of the things I really love about Mr. Advocate is that he always, from the day one, he started talking about we. He talked about not only himself, but the people around him and how important they all are. And he really made all of us feel included in the journey of making the national team and going to the World Cup in 2006. So in that standpoint, I was very appreciative to him. He, as Mr. Hiddink, created a very winning atmosphere. He gave the players confidence to go out and beat anyone. And my feeling is that he, like Mr. Hiddink, is a top coach. Mr. Verbeek had a little bit of a different background. He was more of the teacher coach. He had to come through the ranks of, first was a teacher for many years, then having to be an instructor in the federation and coaching teams that didn't have the best players. So he always had to play against teams with better players. So he had to teach the players, improve the players, and make his players better. So I think in that standpoint, he's the perfect coach for Korea at this moment because we are trying to build the Korean team in the next 4 years, close the gap between Korea and the rest of the world at the top level. And I think he's going to be the teacher coach that Korean players need. Especially given the fact that he's now been in 2 different World Cups with Korea and has helped Korean national team achieve some success. Having said all of that, all 3 of them, in my opinion, are great men. All 3 of them are winners, and I think all 3 of them will play a big role or have played a big role in the history of Korean football. Of course, when I came in 2001, my role was more in using technology and assisting Mr. Hiddink with creating tactical models and images to teach the players and improve the players and try to give them better organization and understanding of their tactics and how our opponents would play and how we want to play. With Mr. Advocate, I came in as trainer and tactical parts of the team and supporting with technology. With Mr. Verbeek, I'm now become his man next to him in supporting him in all facets of the national team. So I think my role gradually has grown with the national team of Korea. I think because it's a different period in the national team. This is almost right after the World Cup. Of course, we have time to build the national team for 2010 World Cup. So we can invest more in the younger players. We can create a longer roadmap. We've tried very much to tactically improving the team. So, and we also are trying to even invest in different kinds of players. Players that have more of a football brain, players that from all positions can play football. So I think overall we have taken a different approach because we have a different period in the national team. When we came in October for the World Cup, we had a very short time. So we didn't have the luxury of time. So we had to create a team that could succeed in literally 8 months in the World Cup. So it was a little bit of a different challenge. I think one of the problems historically has been that the K-League level of football is not comparable to Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, and the top leagues in Europe. So the domestic players aren't getting the competition, they're not getting the training and the environment to play at the top international level. So you have that issue to deal with. And I know that's been in discussion and people are trying to correct that and improve the K-League and the domestic league. And this is not just the problem in Korea, it's a problem in almost all the Asian countries and some of even the European countries. Then you have the issue of the players that go overseas and they play in European clubs. When they go there, a lot of them historically have not gotten playing time. They're sitting on the bench, they're playing second team. So when they come to the national team, they're out of form, they are not match fit. So that's a different issue. The media has a tendency in Korea to, the moment somebody is playing for a big club, build that person up to even bigger than a star. So the demands on that players and the expectations grows. So when a player comes back to Korea, they have a lot of time taken by advertisement, interviews, people that want to see them, so their life really changes. So these are all challenges for a national team coaching staff to deal with in making a very good national team. And I think that's where leadership and experience comes. And I think after the World Cup 2002, not to name coaches or speak badly about anyone, I think the coaches that came following Mr. Hitting after 2002 didn't have a lot of experience in Asia, nor they had experience with Korean culture and Korean players. There was unbelievable expectations, and I think they just didn't have the right ingredients to make success. I think we will get it right because we understand the Korean players, we understand the Korean culture, we have experience in international football. So it's all about the environment, the atmosphere we build in a national team. It's all about the way we select the players and the way we speak to them. And I think we don't make one player more important than another player. We treat them well, we treat them with respect, and we give all of them an opportunity based on their performance to play for the national team. And I think the knowledge, oh, he's coming from this club and he's going to play over me because he comes from this club, I don't think that exists anymore. Players know that their performance is what's going to dictate if they play in the national team or not play in the national team.
Okay, one. Okay, 형 one, 두 번만에 맞추면 되잖아.
Yeah, he's in the water. When he's in the water, you have one extra.
Historically, I've always been a very creative coach. I've always believed that you need to create training with different organizations, and you need to constantly challenge the players mentally and psychologically, always make them excited about training. So I'm a big believer that you should always change training. Like even the basic thing of warm-up, we always change the way we warm up because players get bored with doing the same exercise on a regular basis. The football golf was something about maybe over 14, 15 years ago that I created a training because I felt that it created a situation where players can concentrate on the psychological part, because they were always under pressure with their peers looking at them, and they had to be very technically good. It forced them to have feeling with their passes, long and short passes. It kind of also created a social situation where players could walk from one hole to the next hole and talk about how good that shot was or how bad that shot was. So for the day before a match training, where we needed a relaxed environment, but we also needed high concentration, and we needed a little bit of cooperation between the players, it's a perfect training. And we were speaking, as we do always, about what we wanted to do in training. And we had discussed, should we play tennis football on that given day? Then I felt that physically it's less demanding, but technically maybe more demanding, and on a psychological side also more demanding. So I spoke about Pim. I have an idea, why don't we try this? And Pim is always very open-minded to ideas, and he said, okay, go ahead and do it. So I tried to be very creative in placing the sand pits and water holes and creating obstacles for players. So, and even we had going from one field to another field, so they had to hit balls over the mountain and vice versa. So I was surprised how well it was received by the Korean players, because I wasn't sure how well they will receive it, because I did this in America with players, and all my players loved it. And even Bora Milutinovic, who at that time was a coach of US team, when I showed him this idea, he really liked it and he used it. So I'm happy that the Korean players liked it. I think the reason historically defenders in Korea from the youth to international level were asked to just do a defending job, and the moment they have the ball not to take any risk and to play long balls to the strikers. And modern football needs central defenders, can of course do the defensive job, but also have the ability to make the game from behind, because normally teams are crowding the midfield, and it's the central defenders and outside defenders that have to make the game from the back third to the middle third to the top. So one of the things we're looking for are central defenders and defenders that one, have a football brain, so they take always the right position and the right decisions in defense and in attack, but also the ability to, with the ball, to give long and short passes and to make the game. Some good examples, of course, Hong Kyung-bo is one for Asia and for Korean football. But you look at the central defenders like Thuram, or you look at players like Desai. These are some very good examples, or Baresi when he used to play in Italy. These are some good examples of football players that were central defenders. Yeah. I think, first of all, because Korea is a small country, it makes it much easier to organize football and identify talent in Korean football. So that's a very big plus. We have some of the most beautiful stadiums in the world. We have some of the, I think, the best athletes in the world in concerning football. So I think those are all pluses, and this gives fantastic possibilities for us to make a nice national team. We have other challenges. The challenge is the domestic league has to be improved. The infrastructure in youth soccer and university and the selection of the youth and the training of the youth has to improve. And also we need the fans in Korean football to support football, not just to support the national team, and to really fall in love with the sport and support the local teams, be it the high school, be it the university, and be it the professional team in their city. These are challenges that we have. Putting all the pluses and all the minuses, I think the future is very bright. That's why I'm here in Korea, and I'm very excited to be part of the process. We have a federation with big ambition and willing to really take Korean national team to the next level. We have supporters and sponsors and fans that really want to see Korean football at the highest level. So the ingredients is here, the motivation is here, and I think we have 4 people right now in the coaching staff of the national team that, in my opinion, have all the qualities to do the job for the national team in the next few years. So I think, to answer your question, we will close the gap, and I think you can see Korean national team, a team that can compete with anybody in the world, and any given game win games. I love the Korean fans. It's one of the reasons I'm still in Korea. You are the best fans in the world. Your support for the national team and for the Korean players and the coaching staff is something that really brings us energy, brings us confidence, and gives us the love to fight for you and fight for Korea. I can't tell you what your support means to me. It's very difficult to describe with words, but it brings the greatest feeling in someone's heart. So please continue supporting the players and supporting Korea and supporting the national team. Your unity, your songs, your beat, your rhythm, your literally unconditional support is something that really brings the players and the staff and the team unbelievable confidence, energy, and power. As always, I will fight like hell for you and for Korea, and I promise you that there won't be a moment that we will not give our best to bring the best results to Korean football. And as you say, Gaja fighting, I really want to fight with you, and hopefully we can be #1 in Asia, in Asian Cup and Asian Games, and we go together for 2010 World Cup.